Hey guys, I'm George, the nice manic gentleman, and it's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content. Today I'll show you two very affordable, very cheap cologne fragrances from the brand of Fragrance World that are called Hunted by Night Asia and Venti, and I'm going to tell you my honest opinion on whether they're worthy of being checked out. As I said, both fragrances that I'm featuring in today's video are clone fragrances, and it's not hard to imagine what they're actually cloning when you hear the names, and especially when you look at the bottle design as well. But in case you're still wondering, Hunted by Night Azure is inspired by or cloning Azzaro's Wanted by Night, and in the case of Venti, of course, this is a clone of Creed Aventus. And I'm going to start with the Creed Aventus clone because it's the more popular fragrance, although Wanted by Night from Azzaro is also quite popular when it comes to designer fragrances. Still probably one of the most cloned fragrances and one of the most famous men scent profiles as a whole is the OG Creed Aventus. Now, why Fragrance World decided to do yet another clone of Creed Aventus, I'm not too sure, because they already have at least 2 or 3 as far as my knowledge goes. I don't know why they did that, but they came up with yet another clone of Creed Aventus. Now the box design looks like this. There's an outer sleeve that is pretty much all white with some silver accents, and then you're getting an inside box, which is the main box of the fragrance, which is black with again those very same silver accents. The bottle size here is 100 milliliters and the concentration is EDP. And then this is the bottle design. As you can see, it actually is pretty similar to the original fragrance, which is, again, I've said this many times, but I don't necessarily like this that much. The cap is plastic. It's very plasticky, feels very light and cheap, but it's actually a snug fit, and the whole bottle actually has a decent amount of heft without being overly heavy. Now let's see the spray in action, and then I'll talk about the scent of this one. The good thing about this fragrance is that it actually comes equipped with a pressurized sprayer, keeping in mind that this is a very cheap fragrance. I'll talk about the pricing a little bit later on, but I was really surprised by the fact that this fragrance has a pressurized sprayer. And when it comes to the scent profile, this indeed is a clone of Creed Aventus as it looks and as it sounds, but it's not really a straight up clone. This is more like a twist. And to be honest, the first time I tried this fragrance, actually it reminded me a lot more of something else, not exactly Creed Aventus. And that something else was the original Club de Nuit Intense Man EDT. Because of that very fruity, very citrusy, very fresh opening of Club de Nuit Intense Man EDT, Venti from Fragrance World actually reminded me a lot of that particular fragrance. It undoubtedly carries the Creed Aventus scent DNA, but it's just a more fresh, a more light, a more citrusy opening. Now, to be honest, with time I've had both of them for a couple of weeks. I've been giving them some occasional wears here and there. To be honest, with a little bit of time, this actually has started to settle and develop a little bit more sort of an interesting opening, because now it's not only about the citruses as initially it was. Now you pick up a bit of those added, additional fruits like the apple, maybe a little bit of the black currant, maybe a hint of the pineapple as well. You also now I'm also getting some of the oak moss, some of the birchiness, maybe a bit of the musk, maybe a bit of the woodiness. But initially when I first got this one, it was like a citrus bomb. Now it smells a little bit more interesting, a little bit closer to the original, but still this is like a lot fresher take on Creed Aventus. On the dry down, like the original fragrance, this becomes more birchy, it becomes more mossy, it becomes more musky, it becomes more woody. But this one lacks that sort of a slight leather undertone that you may find in Creed Aventus. This remains a fresher, a more airy, a more citrusy take on the original scent. And to my nose, this feels like a combination of Club de Nuit Intense Man EDT and Creed Aventus. All around, the quality is pretty decent, considering again how cheap of a fragrance this is, but this is not a straight up clone of Creed Aventus. Performance wise, it's a decent performer without being anything special, and by decent I mean roughly around about 5 to 6 hours of performance, with moderate projection in the first about hour, maybe slightly over the 1 hour mark. Price-wise, both of them are very cheap, very affordable. I personally picked both of them for roughly around about 20 euros, which make them some of the cheapest clones that I've recently bought and added to my collection. Versatility-wise, of course, it's as versatile as the original fragrance, meaning that it's very masculine and you can wear this one throughout the year. And now let's move on to the second fragrance, which is called Hunted by Night Azure. Again, this is a clone of Azzaro's Wanted by Night. Again, pretty simplistic packaging. It's a sort of a black color or like a deep brown colored box with some golden accents. The bottle size here again is 100 milliliters and the concentration is EDP. This is how the bottle looks. In this case, this is not a straight up clone of the bottle. It feels more distant to compared to the original fragrance and unlike Venti. But still, because of the color, the sort of the overall sort of look, and because of the name, again, you probably will not have a hard time guessing what this is cloning. This one, the sprayer, is again good, but unfortunately not as good as the Venti one, so it's not pressurized, but still actually has pretty good distribution. And the scent itself, now this again feels like a twist. It doesn't feel like a straight up clone, and to be honest, initially when I first got this fragrance, especially the first couple of times I gave it some wearings, I didn't enjoy it that much. I've said this before as well. I'm not a huge fan of the Wanted line from Azzaro. I know it's a very popular line of fragrances. A lot of people enjoy it, like to wear it, like the scent. I'm personally not a huge fan, but this has nothing to do with the fact that I didn't like this one. I didn't like this one initially because of different reasons, and those different reasons was the actual scent. The opening here used to be very spicy, but it had this very strange sort of an unpleasant spicy undertone that was very detectable, and just, you know, gave the whole scent a twist that I didn't enjoy at all. Now, just like Venti, with a bit of time, this actually started to evolve a little bit, settle a little bit more, and that sort of an unpleasant spiciness in the opening has settled a little bit. It's still here, but in order to detect it, in order for me to detect it, I actually have to bury my nose on the place where I was spraying this one. It just feels this kind of pepperness that I don't pick up in the original fragrance, and I don't enjoy that much this one. But again, with a bit of time, this actually has started to settle a little bit. You get a warm, spicy opening that has just a hint of freshness. There's a bit of lavender, which gives it a bit of an aromatic feel. There's the woodiness of this one. There's a bit of sweetness as well, ambery sweetness, vanillic sweetness, and maybe a hint of tobacco, especially on the dry down. In a way, this feels like a twist again. This feels like a more spicy, more peppery take on the original fragrance. Lacks a bit of the aromatic nature of the original fragrance, lacks a bit of the sweetness of the original fragrance, but definitely is done in a similar style. It's not a bad scent, but again, keep in mind that maybe my opinion won't matter that much on this one, because I'm not a huge fan of the original fragrance. All around, again, this is more spicy. This is I don't know, just more peppery, lacks a bit of the depth, lacks a bit of the sweetness and the aromatic nature of the original fragrance. When it comes to performance, pretty similar to Venti, roughly around about 6 hours. This one seems to project a little bit better initially, but the total projection is still moderate, and for roughly about 1 hour, maybe slightly over the 1 hour mark. Price wise, pretty similar, around about $20, so that's like what, 22, 23, around about 20 euros, excuse me, which is equal to around about 22, $23. So it's a very inexpensive, very affordable. And versatility wise, this is another very versatile fragrance, although Venti, in my opinion, is more versatile because this can work in summer wears. What was it? Hunted by Night Azure actually feels a bit too warm and too peppery to work in the warmer months of the year. And in the end, a few very quick final thoughts on the two fragrances. If you're looking for a good clone of Creed Aventus, definitely I wouldn't say that Venti will do the job. This is the type of scent that I will go with if I don't have access to Club de Nuit Intense Man, to some of the other good clones. This is a very versatile fragrance that I would wear in my car. For example, I'll keep a bottle of this one in my car for those occasions where I forgot to wear something else and I'm just going to spray it, or maybe use it when going to the gym or something like that. It just lacks the overall quality. Yes, it's very inexpensive, but still, if you're looking for a good clone of Creed Aventus, definitely you should look elsewhere. other than that, this is not a bad scent on its own. When it comes to Hunted by Night Azure, again from Fragrance World, this is an interesting take on Wanted by Night from Azzaro. Again, I'm not a huge fan of the original fragrance, and the reasons why I'm not enjoying this one so much is the fact that this feels a little bit too warm and too peppery, too spicy compared to the original fragrance. And other than that, this is not a bad take. Both of them offer, you know, overall, I would say decent quality, average performance, and both of them are really cheap. If you really like Wanted by Night from Azzaro and you want something very inexpensive to daily drive instead of that one, maybe you can check out Hunted by Night Azure, but I personally am not a huge fan of this one. And so guys, in today's video I showed you two new releases from the brand of Fragrance World called Venti and Hunted by Night Azure. I hope that you found this video interesting to watch. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.